Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the BettingPros NFL podcast. I'm your host, Dan Harris. With me, of course, is Matt Peralt. Find us on Twitter at DanHarris80 and at Sports Talk Matt. Matt, week 17, what's going on?
Well, I mean, for starters, I look like I just kind of woke up because I just did. So this is an early morning tape session here on the West Coast for me.
Yes.
So I do apologize if you're like, Matt, man, what happened to you? I'm on vacation, all right? I'm on vacation. That's what happened to me. I'm on vacation. But you know, look, last week, week 16 into 17, it's hard. This is a really tough time. I know we went 2-3, but yeah. I'm proud of our first run. I mean, I know we came in the top 200, inside the top 200 at the DraftKings contest, not in the money, but I think I learned a lot about the DraftKings system for next year because it is a different system than others, given that 2 bye week situation that you have to take.
Yep.
Were you happy with where we took our bye weeks, or would you rather have taken them earlier?
No, I think that they were good. The one thing I think I would change is that I think we went in with a set mindset of what we were going to do with the bye weeks. This year in particular, it was so tough because there were certain weeks that I think provided more value than others, which we didn't know about because of COVID concerns, right? Where there'd be a line, they have to set these lines, they get set on Wednesday, and then you might have, half the teams out that you find out on Saturday. So I was very happy with our first year in the contest. Again, you mentioned top 200, 171st out of about 700 teams. So really not bad.
800. It was like 760, right?
It might be 8.
Close to 800.
The number was right. The number was a little different. So it might be 800, right? So that's top, 25%. Went 38 and 32, 54.3%, which is a good percent, of course. So we were 4 picks out of the money. So we make 4 different picks. And I feel like, I was very happy with our first showing. We didn't have a great final week, as you mentioned. We lost on the Rams. Even though the final week was a little different too, because we were thinking a little bit strategically. Like we left in the Browns that we liked originally, even when all their receivers were out, which we figured probably most people wouldn't be on, given the line and everything like that. But it was worth taking a shot on them that obviously didn't work out.
Your
the Rams,
team.
Jared Goff, and broke his thumb, so you had that. The Titans, we just missed on the Titans.
Yeah.
Like that was a pick I know you liked.
Yep.
We kind of missed on it.
I missed on the Rams. I missed on the Titans. I mean, I missed on my 2 favorite picks of the week that I liked a lot, and some of the crazier ones, that were later in the week. The people that I was doing the other contests with. I mean, this is year 4 for me doing contests, and every year I learn something new. It's incredibly difficult. Next year, the DraftKings contest will have probably 4 times as many people as they're in it right now. We'll probably have 3,000 people in it, 4,000 people that are in it next year. And, the rules, every contest, they'll tweak them and they'll turn them around. But, I think one of the more challenging things this year was the idea of who and when the game gets played and who's going to be in the game. And so this was as challenging. It's hard anyway. People think, static lines, it's easy. No, it's really hard. But not just that, it's really hard when you don't know for sure whether players are going to be in or out, and then the impact that player being out. Is it significant or is it nothing? And trying to balance that is pretty hard. But I do like the fact that DraftKings has that late change addition. But one thing I think what you and I did, and what I did more than anything, is that I talked us off of way too many picks.
Yeah.
I take responsibility for a lot of that, because I think I talked us off of at least 3 guaranteed points during the week.
I think what we should do, we should stick with it a little more, stick with our initial thoughts for sure, if we can. I also think, like, I don't know, maybe next year, assuming that we do it, we should each have like one like guaranteed pick or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point that we hold on to, and that's ours. Right. Yeah,
that's
I like that.
Yeah, and I also think we did this once with the Rams versus the Patriots, which again, that was one that you pushed and you were like, nope, this is my favorite bet of the week, and I did like it. I think even though it was a Peraltism with the 5.5, but that was a Thursday game. And the one thing that separates the DraftKings contest from these other contests is that, again, you can make the Thursday pick, but not lock in your other picks. You can mess around with all the picks. They don't lock until Sunday morning. So you can make picks and then change them right before Sunday morning. In your other contest in the Westgate, in the Circa, if you pick a Thursday game, you lock in all your picks at that point, right?
Yeah, I went 3-0 on Saturday in week 16.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got all 3 games right. But nobody wanted to use it.
Yeah.
And I literally went to my other 2 partners, and I was like, here's what I like on Saturday. and I liked all 3 games, and everybody was like, "Nah, man, I can't do it. Can't play Saturday. Let's just stick to Sunday." I was like, "But I like the 49ers." They're like, "You like the 49ers?" I was like, "Yeah, I like the 49ers." They're like, "No, I'm not playing the 49ers." And then I was like, "Oh man." So it's whatever.
Yeah. Are you still alive in any of them at all?
Westgate, I am still alive. So I cannot win the Westgate reboot, but I can come in the top 10 to cash.
Okay. So
I need a 4-1 game. I mean, I basically am half a point out of the money, but everyone's going to, I mean, this is week 17, so this is always a real topsy-turvy week. Yeah. And this is where this is what I love about the Westgate and the Circle for that matter. People who have, 1 or 2 teams, sometimes they have 2 teams in, they will go and they'll bet one side, and then for their other team, they'll bet the complete other side. In case they go 0-5, they go 5-0 with their other team, and they potentially could get into the money that way. So, where the standings are right now, I mean, look, if we go 4-1 in the Westgate, then I think we'll probably be in the money. But one of my friends is tied for 30th in the Circa right now.
Wow.
And they're currently in Maui on vacation, and I'm like, you better not get vacation brain, because you have a chance to get, quite a, you come in the top 10 in the Circa, and you're cashing a 6-figure check. Right. So, I'm watching closely Sausage King of Omaha, if you're curious to watch that. The Sausage King of Omaha. I think it's number 3, because he's got 3 of them. He's got 1, 2, and 3, but potentially they may get into the money.
All right, so no more contest picks here for us, because again, all of the Westgate and the Circa are still going. They go through week 17. DraftKings ended on week 16. So we're just going to basically get our 5 best against the spread bets on this pick. We're going to, essentially contest it, but we're going to use the consensus lines of our bettingpros.com. Again, that takes the aggregate lines that are available and gives you a consensus of what is. And you can see they're dropping, the Steelers Browns line is dropping. So because
I've got the Westgate numbers, so I can use where the BettingPros consensus lines are. I can use that up against the Westgate just to give you an idea of the differences as to where the contests are going to be versus where we are for right now with the lines.
Okay. All right. So let's get started then, Matt. As usual, why don't you kick us off with your number 1 play of the week?
Oh, man. This week stinks, man, because you just don't really know what each team is going to do. We know that certain teams like the Bills, the Steelers, we already know that they're not going to be playing their starters, right? So
do we know that? Hold on. Do we know that about the Bills?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, this morning, Sean McDermott,
they made their decision.
Basically,
that's what I've heard, right?
Yeah, Matt Barkley is probably going to play quite a bit. I think you might see the Bills play. Maybe they start the game with their starters and then they pull everybody out.
I think that's what they did last year. The one thing is, and again, I don't know, Matt, and you might have a better sense of this, is how much they care. For example, if the Bills win and the Steelers lose, then the Bills are going to get the 2nd seed.
Correct.
I don't know how much that matters to them. You avoid the Chiefs, right? You avoid the Chiefs until the final round, essentially, for that. But I guess you would anyway. I guess it doesn't matter. It would just really be the home game that's sort of coming out there. So I don't know. I don't know whether or not that matters to a team at this point, or whether it's legitimately, well, we're 2nd or we're 3rd. We don't really care, so we're going to completely rest. But there is something on the line, at least, for the Bills. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's difficult because I think you have to find teams that have to win, have to play. So one thing that I've been looking at, I'm looking at the early games for the games I'm going to bet and the games I'm going to pick. Okay. Because I don't like that later in the day, if you already know your fate, then it gets.
But didn't they set it up so that you don't? Didn't they set it up so that any game that affects another game gets played at the same time? I think that's what they did, right?
It gets played early, right? So I think most of the games, Bills Dolphins is early, right? Steelers Browns is early. Cowboys Giants is early. Other games, and then the Packers and the Bears are late. Seahawks 49ers is late. Chargers Chiefs doesn't matter. And then you've got Saints Panthers, which is late. And then the night game is Washington and the Eagles. So
and both the Titans and the Colts play late, right, at the same time, given that they're both fighting it out for the division.
Correct,
right?
125. Correct, yes.
Yep.
So those are games that do matter. It matters for home teams, right?
Sure.
So like I don't really have a number one at the moment, okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm having a tough time with the week.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to make a play right now, it would be on the Cowboys to beat the Giants.
Okay.
And I think the 1.5 line in the Westgate Super Contest, or 2 right now, the consensus line is 2. The FanDuel's at 2.5, so there are some numbers that it's climbing. I think up to 3 points, I would take the Cowboys over the Giants. I just think that this offense for New York is really struggling mightily, and Dallas is making a serious run. I had a buddy of mine about 3 weeks ago tell me the Cowboys are going to win that division. And I was like, okay, well, that's probably not going to happen. But I do think the Cowboys have a legitimate chance here to make, because they can't make the playoffs, right? Are they alive still?
Who?
Cowboys.
Yeah, if the Cowboys win and Washington loses, Cowboys win the division.
Yeah, okay, right. Good, that's it. So the Cowboys know they have to win this game outright. And I just I watched them play last week, and I think they're coming. I think McCarthy's got something going. I think the offense is playing pretty well for Dallas. So if I had to bet right now, I would lay the 1.5, 2 on the Cowboys at the Giants.
My big worry about it is just that this has got to be because everybody saw what the Cowboys look like, right?
Yeah.
Everybody saw that. They've seen how terrible the Giants are. Like, the Cowboys just feel like such a public play.
Oh, they always are. Oh, yeah.
And the exact time that they let you down, though, right? Like, this is the historical sort of like, here come the Cowboys. Here they come. And they're going to let you down. And the Giants, meanwhile, I know they've lost, several games in a row here, but Daniel Jones has not been close to 100%. They've played some good teams, coming in. I think the Giants might be a little better than people think at this point. And it's funny because I looked at it and my initial reaction was like, oh God, the Cowboys are gonna win this game. Like they're gonna be fine if you're giving me less than a field goal. I like it. My worry just is this, it feels like the line is saying, we know everybody is going to take the Cowboys and we don't care. And I don't know whether or not you think about that, Matt.
No, I absolutely, of course I do. Yeah. I mean, I completely think trap lines are out there. Right. But in the Cowboys, I mean, the one thing about Vegas is I learned this in my second week of being here in Las Vegas, where I was talking to a friend of mine who was working at the time for CG Sportsbooks, and he Matt Holt, his name. He's gone on to do a lot of really cool things, but he's the one that first told me about the Cowboys in Vegas. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, every time we put a Cowboys lineup, we always add a point. Always. Doesn't matter if they're dogs or favorite, we always add a point because the Cowboys are the most public bet team in Vegas. Yeah. So for that, I mean, and it happens all over the place, happens offshore, same place. I mean, Cowboy fans are everywhere. That I understand that point, and I think it's a valid point that, okay, this line really could be like -1 or a pick. Right. So then it's, okay, flip a coin, but I still think the Cowboys are the better football team, and I still think there's some problems for that offense for the Giants. I just don't think that they can score.
All right. Well, let's put it on the maybe list because, I mean, I don't hate it. It just feels like, again, this is a bad week. This is just a very difficult week to sort of navigate because a lot of it is going to depend on, who plays. I also think there's a tendency, by the way, of bettors to think that if a team is out of it, one team's playing for something, one team isn't playing for something, that the team that's not playing for something is just going to roll over and everything like that. I don't think that that's really how it works. I mean, I agree. I'm not, right? It's not that, even the Steelers, who I kind of like, we'll get to that in a little bit, not love, but and the line is dropping, unfortunately. But
this is the one week where I actually I don't believe in parlaying, okay? I've heard the Daily Juice, I don't believe in parlay. Sure. But this is one of the weeks where Moneyline parlays, I don't actually mind them. Yeah. And you can take, okay, do they just have to win? Like, don't worry about the number, but do they just have to win a football game to get into the postseason? Right. If you can line up 2, 3, 4 of those in a row, sure. You can bring down, like, the Vikings are -295 on the money line against the Lions, right? And so Matthew Stafford, maybe if he plays or doesn't play, if he could be his last game with the Lions, and they may be totally, everyone knows the Lions are cleaning house and changing everything next year. So it's like, those are the teams that you can be like, okay, they're going to lay down and get destroyed. Texans may be another one. You don't worry about the number. You just kind of stack up a bunch of those teams on money lines and then see, a bunch of -250 favorites. And you could probably find yourself into 2-1, 3-1 type of wagers that I do tend to play a little bit more in week 17 because it is so tricky with who gets pulled when.
Right. So, I mean, we might as well just talk about this game. It's not my favorite. I don't have a favorite really pick.
Yeah.
Maybe I do, but it's not this one. But let's talk about it since you mentioned it. How do you feel about the Vikings laying 6.5 to Lions? Because I know there's no Dalvin Cook. I get it. But I'm going to be shocked if Matthew Stafford plays at this point. Kenny Golladay is already out. We have known he's going to be out. Chase Daniel, as bad as this defense is for the Vikings, Chase Daniel just can't really do anything. I think Kirk Cousins and the passing game is going to have a huge day in this one in a bounce back effort. They were embarrassed. Of course, the whole team was embarrassed by Alvin Kamara scoring 6 touchdowns last week. I just think that the Vikings are going to destroy the Lions with Chase Daniel back there. And if it's under a touchdown, for me, it's one of the games I kind of like. And that's why I get that's two teams not playing for anything. So you're sort of like, what are you going to see? But without Matthew Stafford, as I'm expecting at this point, even if he plays, I think he gets knocked out early in the same way you saw with the Bucs. So I don't mind the Vikings minus 6.5.
Does Jefferson have any potential?
Only over 47 yards, I think, is what he needs to, I believe, set the rookie receiving record. That's not a ton. So you could see him sort of have a 50-yard game. Same thing with Mike Evans. By the way, Mike Evans needs 40 yards to get another 1,000-yard season, which they were trying to do against the Lions. You saw that. They were like desperately, let's just get it so we can rest the guy. So you don't know whether or not when Jefferson gets the 47 yards, whether or not they'd be like, whatever. But I don't think that's a team like the Vikings. That's not what they'll do. They don't care.
No, I agree. I think one of the things, to me, the comments from Mike Zimmer about the defense after the loss, when he was, I mean, you never hear coaches say, this is one of the worst defenses I've ever had. Like, I've never had a defense this bad. You don't normally hear a coach say that.
Yeah.
Like, what did you just say?
Yep.
So I wonder if going 7-9 actually means something to him.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder how much of a notice he put his defense on of like, guys, here's your last chance to put some game film before I go through the whole entire roster and start cutting half of the guys here.
Yeah.
So, like, with Chase Daniel out there, plus that, I agree with you. I think the Vikings under a touchdown or a solid play.
Yeah, so that's one of my plays this week, and it doesn't see. I'm surprised a little bit it's under a touchdown, and maybe if Stafford is ruled out, it'll pop to over it. So that's why I'm probably going to bet it now, and I have bet it now at 6.5. But it is something where, I think, and the Vikings, they haven't quit. Their defense is terrible. It's injured. It's just a terrible defense. But I don't see them sort of. You see some teams, you watch them, and you don't want to say quit, but it does look like they're kind of like, okay, I'm going through the motions. I'm not willing to really put my body in line. It doesn't look like that. They're just not a very good defense, but they do have a good offense even without Dalvin Cook. So I'm willing to roll them at minus 6.5.
Okay.
All right.
My second play, and again, looking for spots here.
Yep.
Week 17, I think there is something to a 13-3 record for the Buffalo Bills, and I think they actually want it. And I'm going to be curious to see, we talked about earlier, I'm curious to see, I think Matt Barkley can beat the Dolphins, and I think that they can do it just running, throwing, and I got to see how many, before I would bet this, I got to see how many receivers are playing, okay? Cole Beasley's hurt. So that's
He's out.
He's out.
100% he's out. I don't think he's been ruled out, but he's out.
Is Diggs playing?
I don't know.
Okay,
that's the thing.
If it's yes, okay, if Diggs is playing, and the answer is yes, because going 13-3 is significant, and then I want to see what the Dolphins wind up doing with Tua. Okay, and
you know what they're going to do with Tua? They're going to start him.
Yeah, but they may
like,
pull him.
Man,
if
it
looks
look good.
Right, but if it looks like they're going to lose, do they put Fitzpatrick back in there, or do they just leave Tua in there and just say, look, we're going to be, Fitzpatrick may wind up playing in the postseason. I have no idea what Brian Flores is doing. It is so insane what he's doing with the quarterback spot. How is this not Fitzpatrick's team? I've been saying it literally for weeks.
You know what annoys me, Matt? And it's probably because I have a pretty large investment in Kevin Stefanski as coach of the year, which may have died last week given the Jets game. But the fact that people are giving kudos to Flores for the way he's willing to pull Tua and go to Fitzpatrick, like that's a positive. You have to pull Tua because Tua does not play well, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is your better option. So the fact that he's playing Tua to begin with, and I know you harped on this when it first happened, to me is mind-boggling because I think the team would be, much better on offense if you just left Fitz in there.
I said this on Twitter. People got really mad at me. I'll say it here. I believe that ownership has told Brian Flores what to do. I think ownership has said Tua Tagovailoa is our franchise face, and I need Tua to play as much as possible and then go all the way up to the point where you're going to lose, and then it's the break in case of emergency.
Right.
Okay, play Fitzpatrick, but then the second you have a chance to put Tua back in there, you do it.
Right.
Because this is funny that he was comparing it to a relief pitcher. This is like having Randy Johnson out of the bullpen. You go and put Randy Johnson in the starting rotation.
Right.
You don't have him in the bullpen. You use him as a starter because you need starters are more valuable. It doesn't make any sense to me. That analogy is ridiculous, and it's I cannot. I have tried for the life of me to justify the decisions that are being made here with Miami. And if I'm a Dolphin fan, all I can hope is that when the postseason happens, Tua, if he struggles in the first quarter or if they're down at halftime or whatever, that Brian Flores has the guts to go ahead and say we're playing Fitzpatrick, because you're not winning a playoff game with Tua. Call me a hater, but you're not winning a playoff game with Tua at the quarterback spot.
So I guess my issue is I guess I don't know what to do with this game, because I don't know who's playing. I don't know whether or not the Bills are motivated to win this game. Maybe it's the 13-3, but again, it could be the second seed, because if you're the third seed, I think you're probably getting, I guess it depends on what happens with the Dolphins, but you might be getting the Ravens, if they might be the 6th seed at this point, so maybe the number 2 seed.
Does the fans start this week or next week?
I think the fans start next week for the playoffs.
Because they've got 9,000 fans are going to be there for their playoff games.
Right. Good.
So that's huge.
Good.
That's huge for Bills Mafia to be able to be be in that building.
Yeah.
That's
big.
I
have a very soft spot for Bills fans and for Bills Mafia, because I went to school there. So I still have a lot of friends who are really invested in this. It's hard for me to get a read. And again, the fact that the Bills are favored in this game, I don't really know what to do with, because if it's Matt Barkley and there's no Stephon Diggs and Tre'Davious White, doesn't play, Matt, I mean, do you still like the Bills?
Yeah.
That you still do.
Because I think the Dolphins, I think this is a game, just speaking generally, okay? It doesn't matter all that much for the Dolphins, and it's going to be cold. You're outside.
Whoa. It matters for the Dolphins, Matt.
Well,
if they lose, they're probably not making the playoffs. You know that, right? Because if they lose, the Ravens are going to beat the Bengals, right?
Okay. Walk me through how they missed the playoffs.
Okay, sure. The Dolphins lose. Okay.
Yep.
They finish 10-6. Okay. With me?
Yep.
The Ravens are 10-5. They're going to beat the Bengals, right?
11-5, right.
The Browns are playing a Steelers team that's resting all the starters.
Correct. Browns are going to win that game.
11-5. The Colts are playing the Jaguars. They're going to beat the Jaguars. They're going to finish 11-5. The Titans, right?
Yeah.
Are playing the Texans. If they win, they're 11-5. They win the division. 3 playoff teams. Seeds 5, 6, and 7. The wild card teams are the Ravens at 11-5, the Browns at 11-5, the Colts at 11-5. The Dolphins, if they lose, are 10-6. They're out of the playoffs. They have to win.
Huh.
They have to win. So does that affect the way
you're
thinking? They don't have to win. If they lose and any one of those teams loses,
they're in.
They're
right?
in.
Okay.
They're in. If that
I knew
happens.
there was something. I knew there was something like it looked like
but they're all playing at the same time.
Okay.
And all of the teams that they're going against are favored. Now the Browns, because of their COVID concerns, are slightly less than double digits, but they're favored by 9 over the backups for the Steelers. I think the Steelers could pretty easily win that game still, even with Mason Rudolph. And again, that's probably going to be one of the ones that I put out here, but I don't know what the spread's going to be by the time people listen to it.
It's 10 right now.
It's 10. It's dropping, though, because this morning there were more COVID concerns for the Browns.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's 9 in the contest.
Right. And it's 9 now for the consensus lines. If you can get it at 10, I like it. I think I still like it at 9. Remember, that as bad as the Steelers were, I know we're jumping around a little bit here, but as bad as the Steelers were, they still went 8-8 last year with Mason Rudolph, at the quarterback much time. They don't like the Browns. That there's certainly revenge factor, right?
And Myles Garrett's playing. Myles Garrett's playing, right?
Yes, Myles Garrett's going to play. So there's that. But the Browns need a win to get in against mostly backups, and the Browns are a solid team. They're well coached. If they have actual wide receivers, then they could do it. So
the Bills can knock out the Dolphins. I like it. So that just okay. Now I like it even more. If the Bills can knock out the Dolphins.
They can knock out. That's why it's really. But the Steelers can knock out the Browns, and it doesn't look like they're gonna go for it. This is such a weird week, Matt.
Oh, it's impossible. It literally is four-dimensional chess. You have to be in the minds. You have to be inside of the minds of the coaches as to what they really care about. I just wonder. Yeah. I mean, there is that factor of like everyone's saying, okay, who is the heir to the Patriots throne, which I don't think is gone, by the way, but it's now, okay, here, it's the Bills division. And everyone's like, no, it's the Dolphins division. Well, okay, now it's kind of a way of flexing your muscle a little bit if you're Buffalo and keeping your rival out of the postseason if you beat them. So in the scenario you just laid out, if you can knock the Dolphins out, I think there's some real motivation. I think Bills fans would be fired up to keep the Dolphins out of the playoffs.
Yeah, and, I think it is sort of, this is probably not something, but the two favorites for the coach of the year right now for the betting markets from what I've seen are now Brian Flores and Sean McDermott. So if the Bills keep the Dolphins out of the playoffs, that certainly makes a difference, and they could at least somewhat be thinking about that in terms of flexing your muscle. But yeah, Bills,
can we pause on that for 1 second?
Yeah.
How is Ron Rivera not winning this award?
He was up there, but they may not win the division.
I don't care if they win the division or not. Ron Rivera was getting cancer treatment at halftime.
I understand.
And his play, and he had an Alex Smith quarterback with, coming back off the most horrific leg injury we've seen since Theismann. I don't even know how is this even a conversation. Brian Flores has had a great year, but I don't get how you don't vote when it's pen to paper time. How are you not voting for Ron Rivera?
Because they're probably going to finish 6-10.
Okay, that's incredible. That's a great run for that team.
I get it. But I mean, to be like 6-10 coach of the year, I can't imagine what the lowest record for a coach of the year ever is. But I get it. He's up there.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate it in college basketball too because it was same thing. Like Belichick should have won that award like 15 times.
Right. That's the point.
Saban should win that award every single season.
Exactly. It's funny. Yeah. We talked about it because I was in that sportsbook sort of contest about the most likely candidates, and you almost always need at least 10 wins, and you almost always need to have a gain of at least 3 wins from one year to the next. Yeah. Like that's the bottom line for it. So maybe Rivera, and I'd have no problem with that. I thought, of course,
but Stefanski as well should be right. I mean, I think
Stefanski is one of them. Yeah. But the loss to the Jets really hurt. If they make the playoffs, we'll see. But anyway, we're getting off topic here.
It's week 17.
Whatever. We can do whatever we want. Everybody listen. It doesn't matter. It's going to be amazing. Bills 1.5 to Dolphins. I'm fine with it. We'll put that in the maybe category for sure. That's fine to go in. But what do you think about the Steelers? I think the Steelers are going to keep this game close. I don't think Mike Tomlin is out there ever to say I don't care.
Oh, no, I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, FanDuel's down to 8.5. I mean, there's definitely steam coming in here on Pittsburgh.
But a lot of it is COVID, though, Matt. This morning, there's more COVID problems. Like before you woke up, there's more COVID problems this morning already. So people are a little.
Who's out? Anybody of note?
No, I mean, I think Harrison Bryant, the other tight end, but that's not a big deal. The receivers are still penned to come back, but it's just.
Is this the third time the Browns have closed their facility?
Yeah.
Third time.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. What's going on? I mean, I know it's COVID. It's everywhere. It's horrible. But 3 times?
Yeah.
Like, something's going on with the Browns that it's not great in terms of the way their guys are behaving. But
so this strikes me as a game that probably the Browns wind up winning. Although I don't hate the money line on the Steelers, but that if you're getting even more than a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting a 10. I love it. But if you're getting more than a touchdown, I think the Steelers are going to keep this game.
Yeah, I think the 9 will be one of the consensus picks in the Westgate contest because it's +9, and that's just a really large.
And right now the consensus lines is plus line.
Yeah, it's 9. Yeah, mm-hmm.
So,
it's 10 at BetMGM. On the East Coast, it's still 9, and then FanDuel's got an 8.5. They're the market low currently, and I'm guessing that the number is going to come down even more. Yep. So it's like if you like the Steelers, you got to take them early. You got to take them now to get the best number possible. But I mean, I think the Steelers should be. I mean, they'll probably be included in my 2-team teaser just because you get over 14 and backdoor cover possibilities. And there's just a lot of. I mean, guys in week 17, you lose the big name guy. But the 4th string and 5th string wide receiver on certain teams is good enough to be a 2nd or a 3rd on some other teams. So you put it on film. You're showing out. You're trying to prove yourself. You're trying to justify your job, and they'll play hard. And sometimes I would prefer a 3rd string wide receiver over a 50% 1st string guy.
And don't forget when you're playing with these these backup quarterbacks and everything like that, they kind of have chemistry with the practice squad guys, right? These are the guys they know. These are the guys they work on the routes with. So they usually play a little bit better. So yeah, it's a weird week though. As Matt and I have harped on this, it's a very weird week to try.
Steelers plus 9, I think is a good pick. I think that's a good side to be on, in particular because I think, if the Browns are going to brown and they go 10 and they lose the game outright,
I really hope they don't. But
go 10-6.
Yeah, a 10-6 Browns team where you lost to the Jets to miss out on the playoffs is pretty Brownsy. That would be a pretty big Browns. All right. So that's probably one of them. All right, you got any others that you like?
I mean, there's only a couple that I don't love the numbers. Like Titans Texans, right? You mentioned it. Like 7.5. Yuck. Give me 6.5.
Yes.
Okay, now we're talking. 7.5. I don't know what to do with that, even though my inclination is they want to bounce back after being really embarrassed.
Right.
And what's really frustrating about that entire game, I mean, have you ever seen a team want to get away from the weather faster than the Titans did?
Oh no. That was weird, right? Like immediately you saw that, you're like, oh God.
They didn't even call time. They punted.
Yeah.
Like I had a potential backdoor. I mean, there were chances to get, I've just never seen it. It was so weird to me to watch a team, because I had the over in that game, was to watch them down big with 3 timeouts, 4th down in I think it was 6 from their own 40-yard line, and they punted.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you? Mike Vrabel ran off the field. He could not get into a warmer area faster. He wanted nothing to do with Green Bay. And that's really weird for a power run football team. That that to me concerns if the Titans are going to play the Bills or anybody, any weather potential. I will fade the Titans after watching that performance. That was
it might have just been that they said, he was like, we can't stop Green Bay. If they want to come down and score, they're going to be able to score. We have lost this game. Let's just move on, because the Colts had already lost. They control their own destiny. If they beat, teasing, this strikes me as a game where you tease the Titans down to laying 1.5, right?
Or money line, or just bet
or
the
money line at whatever you want to do, exactly like that. But that's what this strikes me to me. It's 7.5. Because again, the Texans kept it close the last time they played. And kudos to the Texans. And JJ Watt's got that video that he's pumping everybody. He's so mad at his defense. Scares me a little bit at that number.
Texans ruined that guy's career, by the way. We're gonna look back and just shake our head and be like, JJ Watt was was an all-time great, and he played on awful teams his whole career.
How do you feel about again, going back to the Ravens on another big number? It's a big number. It's 12.5 for the consensus, but I think the Ravens are going to come out here. I think they hate the Bengals, by the way. They destroyed the Bengals when it was Joe Burrow earlier in the year. I think they hate the Bengals. This is their chance for a playoff. If they win, they're in. I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to be like, oh, the Bengals, you think the Bengals are playing well all of a sudden? I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to. It's a huge number. But I don't mind laying it.
Yeah, it's the biggest number on the board outside of the Colts and the Jags. Yeah. So it's the biggest number where I guess the Colts are at home, right? The Colts are at home against the Jags -14, right? So so it's the biggest road. Laying 12.5 on the road is not often great to do that. But I concur. I agree. I think you're going to see the Ravens. We talked about this 3 weeks ago when we started backing the Ravens. This is them getting into form, right? This is them. This is almost like an exhibition game in some ways, where it's like, we need to work on us, and if that means we score 50, we score 50. Okay.
Yep. We need to work on both sides of the ball, by the way. So F you.
Starters are in the game. If we need to punch in a late touchdown to work on a goal line situation, we're going to do what we have to do to win. Yep. And that's just it. So I'm with you.
I like that. I think this is going to be a game. I don't love laying huge numbers like this at all, especially not on the road. It's ridiculous. But I do think that this is going to be a game where they are just going to come out and they are just going to be. You don't want to play us in the playoffs, and we're going to use this game to basically tighten up the screws. Just Lamar Jackson. I think by the way, not that this matters because I want to get into the playoffs, but I think he needs something like 87 yards rushing to get to 1,000 for the season. So my guess is that you'll see a lot of him getting out there. I think this is just going to be a monster performance. So I'm okay with the big number. Anything else that you're looking at whatsoever?
Yeah. So I'm wearing, So every week I on the live stream, I wear different hats that I have for teams that I look to because either they're playing a game that I bet on heavily or playing a team that I hate. So I'm wearing a Packers hat. You can't see me right now, but I'm wearing a Packers hat right now.
Yep.
So I'm all in green. I got a green T-shirt and I'm wearing a Packers. I hate the Bears because I think I'm 0-4 this year on betting on the Bears.
Yeah.
And I have a small number here, and I got all these people telling me the Bears are going to win this game. And as long as they don't bench, and Rodgers is playing, right?
Oh, they still have to win.
Right, to get the 1 seed.
Well, they don't have to win to get the 1 seed. And this is, if you listen to me on the Fantasy Pros end of year recap sort of thing, I didn't get this because I knew that they had beaten the Saints in terms of a head-to-head match. But because the Seahawks won, technically, if both the Saints and the Seahawks win and the Packers lose, then the Seahawks would get the number 1 seed. So technically, the Packers still need to win.
And it's the Bears.
Yes.
So
and they want to beat the Bears.
They want to beat the Bears. Rodgers is talking about how he's in love with like Soldier Field and playing there, and he likes playing in that environment. He prefers it with fans and whatnot.
Yep.
This whole idea that Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky are going to be back next year for the Bears. I mean, This is
it's a Peraltism.
I don't care. It's 5.5. I would lay it up to 10.
Okay.
I think the Packers are going to destroy the Bears here, and it's not my number 1 pick because it's an emotion pick.
I understand. So I like it though. I like it. I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you have it correct. I think that the Bears are playing over their head, and they've had a really soft schedule here that people are getting excited about. And I think that the Packers, with the level that Aaron Rodgers is playing at this moment, they could easily win this game by 14 points without thinking too much about it at this point. And, it's funny, Matt, because you saw what they did, and I think they're going to do a similar thing right now is they sold out to stop Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
They know their rush defense is not good. So they said, okay, this is what we're going to do, especially in the cold weather. We are going to do whatever we can to stop Derrick Henry, and we're going to rely on, Jair Alexander and our corners to just hold down as best they can the pass defense by themselves. I think that you're going to see a very similar strategy here, except it's against a worse pass offense. You're going to see them say, okay, Dave Montgomery, you've been having a great run. We're going to do whatever we can to stop you. We're going to let Mitchell Trubisky, try to throw it at Allen Robinson's great, but, who else you want to throw to? Mooney or, Anthony Miller or the tight ends? I think that's what you're going to see. So I like it, man. I like it at minus 5.5. Let's see. How do you feel about the Bucs laying 6.5 to the Falcons?
I looked at it. I mean, who's got more to play for in this game?
Well, what do the Falcons have to play for?
Well, the Falcons have jobs, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Is this Matt Ryan's last start with the Falcons? I mean, this is it. Is he headed to San Francisco? I mean, the rumors are him going to San Fran. If Garoppolo gets cut, they move Garoppolo, and then we wind up seeing Matt Ryan being moved, and then it's Garoppolo goes to New England, and Ryan goes to San Francisco. And so is this, he's been their franchise quarterback. Does he want to go out one last hurrah and beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers? I mean, at 10-5, the Bucs can get what seed? What's the best they can beat at 11-5?
5th.
If they lose, they're the 7th?
No. So this is my understanding, and this is not 100% guaranteed.
And just by the way, you guys listening, this year is so freaky because of the extra game, the extra team getting in, and only one bye week. We've never seen these tiebreakers before. It's very complicated.
So here's the deal. The Saints have won the division, right? So we know that's done. So that means that the best the Bucs can do is 5th, right? Because the 4 division winners are going to be the top 4 seeds. The best they can do is 5th. I believe they can fall to 6th. If they lose and the Jared Goff and Cooper Kupp less Rams beat the Cardinals. If that happens, the Rams would jump them, and they would go to 6. Now, they're not going to know because they should be playing, I believe, at the same time.
They play early, and the Rams play late.
Yep. So they won't know by the time they play.
Right.
They won't know because the Rams still. So they have to assume that the Rams are going to win. And again, you're going to have Kyler Murray at less than 100%. You've still got that defense. So they can't take that for granted. And is there a difference between the 5th seed and the 6th seed? In my opinion, oh yeah, big time. The 5th seed is going to get the winner of the NFC East. That team, whoever it is definitely going to be weaker than whoever the 6th seed is going to play. Which
I want my prediction. I want my prediction so bad to be right.
Or the Saints, right?
Oh, I made a call a while ago as you just laid that out. I picked the Bucs to lose in the first round of the playoffs to the winner of the NFC East.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, you made like a specific bet about?
No, I know, but I didn't make a bet. I made a prediction that I'm going to bet. I'm going to bet for the Bucs to lose that game on the road. Whoever they play, they're going to lose that. I said the winner of the NFC East is going to play the Bucs, and they're going to win. And they're going to win the game. They're going to beat the Buccaneers because I think the Bucs are fool's gold right now. To be quite honest, in the postseason, I think that blowout victory they had was the best thing. I was so happy to see that blowout because it's going to give us a great number when they go on the road, and it's going to be like an 8 or 9. Bucs are going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that range, whoever they play, and that's beautiful for me because I think this Tampa team's got problems, and no one wants to talk about them. Not here though. Not here. I think they beat the Falcons easily.
Yeah. So that I think with them being motivated at this point, they've already come out and said we're playing everybody. So it's 6.5. The Falcons hang around for the most part in these games, but I'd be willing to take them at under
Julio
a touchdown.
Playing or no?
What'd you say?
Is Julio Jones playing?
I'm almost positive he's not. He's trying. He hasn't practiced yet this week. He's trying to get back out there. It'd be crazy for him to actually get back out there. So assume he's not playing, and it's just Ridley and Gage and Hayden Hurst.
And they can't really run the football.
They can't run the football at all, and not against the Bucs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Carlton Davis maybe. I'm not sure about Carlton Davis playing, so Ridley is going to be able to probably do some stuff, and they were able to move the ball.
Yeah. Bucs it's ugly, but I like it. 6.5. I'm cool with it.
All right. Any other games that you've been thinking about, or you want me to run through?
Yeah. Look at we think we have to talk about and have to look at it. Is Washington and the Eagles, and boy, Alex Smith is going to play for Washington, right?
We think so.
Right?
We think so.
All right. If Alex Smith plays for Washington, I think the Washington football team wins this game.
Okay.
If it's not, though, man, this is tough because you have the Dwayne Haskins thing. He's now gone. And, I mean, there's just not anyone that I really could back for Washington if it's not Alex
Taylor
Smith.
Hennigy might be better than Dwayne Haskins.
Very possible,
at this point,
yes.
right?
I mean, you might be better.
We don't know if
Terry
McLaurin's going to play. It worries me a little bit about McLaurin because without him, you're talking about Cam Sims, as your number one wide receiver there.
Not
Logan
great.
Thomas.
Yeah, not great.
Knows.
Right. But here's the problem for the Eagles. Just like we saw last week, I don't think that Eagles defense is all that good.
That's terrible.
It's
terrible right now.
And so I think there's a chance, no matter who's out there, I think there's a chance to move the football and, Gibson being back and whatnot. And then, I mean, not to say the blooms off the rose there for Jalen Hurts, but I think his mobility gets limited big time up against that defensive line.
Yeah.
And I don't think he can pick up the same yardage he normally. I mean, he needs to run the football to be effective. I mean,
yes.
His passing abilities are still lacking. He still needs more seasoning, more time. He's not, he doesn't have this great route tree, and so I don't think he's got enough in the tank there to go up against a Washington defense that's been playing pretty well. So I would like Washington to win this game outright in prime time. They go 7-9. So if Washington wins and goes 7-9, what happens?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
So Washington wins the game outright.
Yep.
They win the division?
Yes.
And they're in.
Correct.
Yeah, I like Washington there.
Okay. I don't hate it. My only worry with it is that this is the last game of the year for the Eagles. You're as much as Doug Peterson, I think, has done a pretty terrible job with Carson Wentz, at least, in the way they call the games, everything like that. I think you're going to see as many tricks as can be pulled in this game. But I agree with you that defense is very strong. This is the last game, right? This is Sunday night game or whatever.
Flexed,
so that's why they did it that way, because no matter what else happens, Washington wins and they're in. Yeah, I don't hate it. I originally, when I looked at it, I was like, I think the Eagles might, but yeah, I think, at this point, I think that's probably right. I like Washington. All right, let's get it there. Okay. Any other ones you want to talk about before I run through the remaining games?
No. I mean, I am selfishly, I need the Raiders to beat the Broncos.
I'm aware. I was going to ask you about that because I know you need them for your future.
Yeah. So
as I was looking and putting together the 500 bets that you have made on the Daily Juice podcast, so I can get your win loss and
actually
units
more than
record
that.
per
I'm
sport.
near 700 now. I think.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. I was looking at it. I was like, oh, here's one that's still outstanding that I can't technically count yet for.
Yeah, it's the last future. We went 5-1 going into the 4-1 or 5-1 on the futures in the NFL, so we did quite well with our future bets, but this is the last one that's outstanding, and it's a push currently because I got 7.
Right.
And so I got slight plus money, and if you remember way back in July when we didn't have sports to bet on all that much, it was I talked to a bookmaker in Vegas who at that point had not taken a single under bet on the Raiders under 7. Wow. Like literally every single bet was on the over. So there is a monster liability for the books here when it comes to this game. Like they are pulling so hard for the Broncos. They don't like refunds, but 7.5 was a number that closed a lot of places around Vegas. It was 7.5. I got it early in the summer, so it was 7, but it was 7.5 for a lot of places. So Raiders lose this game to the Broncos. It's going to be a nice windfall for different books around the strip. So I mean the Raiders. Gosh, I mean they have to be able to win this game, but it's at Mile High. It's just it's such a tough place to go play and have to win, and it doesn't mean anything. Like it only means it's a football game, so you want to win it, but there's no playoff implications. This is so hard. I mean, my gut says Raiders can win it, but I don't know. I mean, that's my problem is I need it, so I'm a little biased.
Right. No, I'm actually in the exact. I don't need it, but I'm in the exact same situation in terms of how I view it. Everything to me says like the Raiders are a better team than the Broncos. Like I don't have much doubt about that.
Yeah.
It says to me like they should be able to win this game, but in Mile High always scares me. No matter what. Nothing really to play for. It just makes me too hesitant to bet. Also, I'm going to be invested in the Raiders because I'm invested in you, Matt. I'm invested in you winning your future.
So I very well might be in this and on this simply personally, just know, as a money line. If I do one of these money line parlays, I may have the Raiders be a part of it. It's a small line at 2.5, so it's not horrible if you want to just lay it and think they're going to win the game. But like, does Waller have any? I got to look this up. I wonder if Darren Waller has any incentives to because
I didn't see it. I've been trying hard to keep track of that if I can. I didn't see anything there, but I may have
because if he's the key to their entire team. So like if Waller has a reason to ball and go out and have a 200.
Oh, I got one. Ready?
Yep.
Six catches from the single season record.
Oh, they're going to force feed that. Okay, that's happening. Yeah. So Waller's a prop bet reception. Over.
There we go. Yeah. By the way, right? Let's have some fun on prop bets this week. Okay? Yeah. You probably got all this sort of stuff to get there, but apparently 6 receptions. There's somebody on Twitter. I'll give him a shout out. Anthony Amico or Amico at AMICSTA. He has been listing all the noteworthy milestones / bonuses the players can reach in week 17.
So what's the handle again?
At Amicsta, which is AMICSTA. Anthony Amico or Amico. Okay. He's a good follow on Twitter, but he's been keeping track.
Yeah, I gotta look that up
because he writes
that's
for us
big
as well.
Yeah, that's big. That's a Waller. He'll probably be 5.5 receptions. Will be set at, and maybe it might be 6.5. Knowing the books are probably going to be aware of that, so maybe 6.5. But I still would bet the over there. They're going to force feed Waller and to get him the receptions record. So that's one thing I would look at. And so, if he's running down the sidelines with 40, 50-yard receptions, because he could, then the Raiders very well might be in there. And Derek Carr has a lot of pride. He's trying to prove himself. He's trying to say, this is my team, and, we're going to be back.
The fact that he played last week and played well, given, the groin, strain that he had is pretty remarkable in and of itself.
And I do think the team doesn't want to end the year on back-to-back losses and losing. They would have lost, I think, they were 7-3 at one point, so they go 7-9. They would have lost the last 6 games, right? All right.
Yep. So I think that's right. Yeah.
I don't think they want to go out like that on that type of losing streak. And being in a playoff contention to just falling flat on their face like that. So them and the Patriots are both are in this spot where I just wonder. I wouldn't touch the Patriots game, but just I'm wondering if they've got this we can't go out like that attitude.
So let's talk about the Patriots real quick. So they're laying 3 to the Jets in New England. Just avoid.
I could see the Patriots lose that game by 20.
Yeah.
I could see this. I could see everyone's coming for this. This is the lion that has a broken leg. Okay.
Yep.
Everyone's coming for him. Everyone wants a piece. This is the only thing that's interesting about this game that leads me to believe the Jets might not do that is that Adam Gase is rumored to be joining the Patriots staff. Okay.
But is that rumor really just based on Bill Belichick being like, oh, I think Sam Darnold has gotten the best coaching that he possibly could have gotten? I mean, is that or is there actual rumors about that?
There's actual rumors that he could be joining the Patriots as an offensive. There's rumors that Josh McDaniels is going to go and take a head coaching job. And that and then the Patriots would hire Adam Gase to be the offensive coordinator.
I mean, you're available, Matt. Why don't they hire you as the offensive coordinator instead of Adam Gase?
I'm not a football mind. I can't tell you that if the offense is being run properly and it's the quarterback's problem or it's a receiving problem, or I don't know. Gase is a horrific leader. He's a horrific head coach. He's been that way. And I made the joke that maybe the Saban rehab tour is going to come to the NFL, and all these former head coaches are going to go work for Bill Belichick to get to rehab their image and then go on and do something else. I mean, Steve Sarkisian for Bama, he's obviously an alcoholic still, but he had all problems off the field, and now he's like the hottest name in coaching right now to get a head coaching job because of what he's done with Mac Jones in Alabama. So maybe you can turn the tide if the Patriots get a quarterback, if it's Matthew Stafford who comes in, which I would be all in on. Right. You get Stafford, you get Adam Gase. I mean, maybe you change the topic and change the conversation, but I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I could see the Jets.
I'm not going near that game.
Yeah.
Just to bring it back to the game, I'm not going near it. I think the Jets might win.
Yes.
But I can never underestimate how much Belichick hates the Jets. And
correct.
So I never really want to get there.
But why isn't Jared Stidham starting?
I don't know. I don't think it matters, man. Matt, I think Cam Newton's terrible, but I think Jared Stidham's pretty terrible from what I
would agree.
Tell.
I mean, I wonder, but what I want the narrative to be over. So, if you gave Jared Stidham an entire week to prepare, this is your week, kid, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes off against the Jets and he loses and looks bad, it ends the conversation about who Jared Stidham's going to be for the Patriots. Fair. It's no longer he's not the guy. I mean, it's just done. Yeah. And I think you've seen throughout the course of the year why he's not playing and Cam is. It's because the team knows he's not very good. And they learned that as they went, as they were like, he really can't. We thought he might, but he really can't.
Yes.
So they're going to bring in a bunch. And that's where I just think, I mean, put it this way. The Patriots may have a chance to bring back both Jacoby Brissett and Jimmy Garoppolo next year.
Yeah.
That's possible. They could bring both quarterbacks back that they had. Not that they will, but I think they could bring Garoppolo back if they have to have a chance to do it if the 49ers do release him. So I would rather, if it was Stidham, I might back the Patriots, but with Cam, I can't back the Patriots. It's no. And you have to run the football for the Patriots, and the Jets are decent at stopping the run.
Yeah, that's the one thing the Jets do fairly well. But yeah, I'm not really going near that game. I think the Jets might win, but I'm not betting it. How about what do you think about the Seahawks laying 6 to the 49ers?
Look, this is a game where the Niners, I think, play hard. I would be concerned. I think the number's too heavy, personally. Yeah. I think Seattle wins the game, but I think if I was to back a side on this, I would take the 6 points.
Yeah, I think I would too. I like the under. I have it at 46. I go on. You can make the picks on BettingPros because I think this is just going to be one of those kind of close games. I kind of do like the Niners, but the Seahawks, they do still have something to play for, of course, because they can win it. So I'm probably not going near it, but I agree that if there is a side, it's the 49ers. But the bet I like in this game, if there is one, is the under on the 46 when I got it, because I do think that this is going to be a game where both teams are going to run and control the clock, and you've got all the offensive pieces out for the 49ers. But yeah, I agree.
I would prefer the game not being in Arizona, though.
Yes, it's in Arizona, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
I prefer it not being there because that leads to more offense. If it was in San Fran, I would be 100% on the under. But
it's a good point. Good point. Very good point. How about the Chargers laying 3.5 to the backup Chiefs?
I don't know what to make of that. That just feels like Casey's punting on the game, right?
Yeah, so like they're completely punting.
Can the Chargers win a game at Arrowhead in the weather outside? I mean, here's the question: how does Anthony Lynn manage to win this game by 3 points and not cover? That's my question.
Right.
How do we get there? Because he's not going to cover. He's not covering. Like Anthony Lynn's not going to do anyone a favor on the way out the door. He's not going to cover against Kansas City.
Right.
So like, how does he backdoor lose by? If they win by 3. The hook there matters.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want it. I just don't. No. This is a type of game where I'm like, I'm staying away. I'm not going anywhere.
You cannot touch that game.
Cardinals laying 3 to the Rams.
Look, something tells me the Rams are going to win that game.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not touching it, okay, because I've been way off on this. But McVay's been talking about this backup quarterback like it's his son. Like, he likes this kid a lot. Yeah. And supposedly he says that 90% of the playbook is in for the Rams here. So, no, Kyler Murray's not going to be 100%. It's going to be at 75, 80%. I don't know. I just think after the Rams, the way they've played recently, I wouldn't put it past them. If the Rams win and go 10-6, are they in?
If the Rams win and go 10-6, they are in, yes.
So they got to win to get in.
Correct. This is a game basically for the playoffs.
So it's a home dog with a win to get in scenario.
Yes.
How do we not take the Rams there?
Because they have no running back and they have no quarterback. That's the only way.
Huh. So you need the defense to make a bunch of plays.
Yeah.
And they are fully healthy at defense.
Yes.
I'd buy the half a point and go 3.5. I'd lay them if it's minus 130.
Interesting.
Okay. I would take the 3.5. Not lay it. Sorry, I'd take the 3.5. Sorry, I would take Rams plus 3.5.
Okay.
If it gets there, I know one book, FanDuel's at 3.5 right now, but everybody else is at 3. PointsBets is 3 even money, so they don't want to get they don't want to get off of it. It looks like there's Cardinals money coming in though, so let the public bet the Cardinals and take the Rams late.
Okay. I like it. I like where your head's at. Oh, actually, yeah, it is. It's at 3.5 right now on DraftKings for the Rams.
Okay. So that hook matters. For me, it's 2.5 in the Westgate contest. Yeah. I will not be playing that. Yeah. I probably would take I may take the Cardinals there at 2.5. I think it's I think it's one of those games where it's going to be nip and tuck coming down. I would expect both quarterbacks to make mistakes. I think both defenses need to rise up. One thing that drove me nuts, and I'm wondering, is it a Jared Goff thing or a Sean McVay thing? But the amount of horizontal running that this team, that the Rams do on offense, drives me crazy. Yeah. Everything is a bubble screen or a jet sweep or a toss. I mean, they just don't go north and south enough, and it drives me crazy with Jared Goff at the quarterback spot. So I wonder with the backup, do they throw the ball more vertically? Can they throw the ball vertically more? Can they be more north and south against the Cardinals? I guess we'll find out. Is it the offense or is it Goff?
Yeah, I don't know. If you talk me into taking the Rams plus 3.5, I'm going to be really mad at you because I'm not ready. I'm not ready to do it. I have no idea what we're going to do.
Well, just wait. I think public money's coming in on the Cardinals. I know
of course it is. Of course it's going to come in on the Cardinals.
Climb. I think the line's going to be higher. I think the line's
it's moving. I'm on DraftKings right now. I'm looking at it, and it over the last hour, it has moved to 3.5. Yeah. So you're right. I mean, this is man.
So watch it. I mean, you might get 4. You might get more. I mean, it's a home dog in a must-win situation. I mean, it's just I don't really care. I mean, again, if this backup kid can be at 85 to 90% of the playbook, okay. I mean, I know the running back situation is horrible. You got third-string running backs back there. Yeah. Who is Henderson? Who's running?
No, Henderson's out. He's on IR. It's going to be Malcolm Brown, assuming that Cam Akers can't come back, which I'm assuming at the moment. So,
but if he does come back, does that change your opinion?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough about Walford. I just don't know enough about him. Like, it'd be really tough to back him.
Every Rams person I follow says this kid can play.
Okay.
But I mean, who knows? But everyone covers the Rams says if you think the offense is not going to work because of the backup quarterback, you're wrong.
All right.
I'm like, all right. I mean,
oh man. Okay. All right. Well, again, Jared Goff has rarely impressed me anyway. So we'll maybe
teaser. 3.5, 4.5, get it to 10. Rams plus 10 at home.
Ooh.
Right.
Ooh, all right.
Right. Plus 10.
I'm going to give my teaser at the end of this. Because I do have a 2-team. The patented Peralt 2-team teaser. But
13-6 on the year.
You're crushing, man. I've just made mine. As we were doing this, I was betting it on DraftKings. As we were talking through this, sometimes this helps my process. I have just bet it. I will give it at the end. Let's finish up the last 2 games that we haven't talked about.
Okay.
Colts laying 14 to the Jaguars in Indianapolis.
I mean, I just think this is a game they win, right? They don't cover.
Right. I don't think that it's something where I could feel comfortable.
It feels like a 20-3 type of game where like they just do enough to win. The Jags do nothing, and then it's just an ugly, awful Week 17 slop fest.
Yes.
And like, okay, maybe one bounce of the ball, the Jags lose it by 20-10, and you lose your bet. So like, no way you can ever back the Jaguars or the Colts in this game.
I agree. And finally, the Saints laying 6.5 to the Panthers.
So this is an interesting game for me because I want to tease. This is a game I want to tease down and take the Saints.
Yep.
Just because the Saints have to win this game, right? But will they know their fate?
No, they don't have to. I think the only way they get the number 1 seed is if the Packers have to lose.
Right.
Guaranteed. And they have to win, and the Seahawks have to win. That's the only way they get it. So that
lose.
The Seahawks have to win. Because if it's a head, this is my understanding.
Matt, it's a 3-headed monster, right?
Correct. A head-to-head tiebreaker with the Packers, they lose. A three-way tie, they win.
Okay, because that third, okay, that's right. I remember Steve Kornacki doing that.
Right.
Yeah, if I play this, I'll just tease it down to half a point and say it's going to win the game. That's how I play.
I don't even like it. I don't like it at all. I mean, the Panthers are down every running back. Not even Mike Davis is playing in this one. So
right.
I don't even know, but it's steady covers. I don't know. Who knows? I'd stay away from it. All right, Matt. So we'll have our 5 official picks. Here are the ones that are under consideration right now. Vikings laying 6.5 to the Lions.
Yep.
The Steelers getting 9 from the Browns.
Yep.
The Ravens laying 12.5 to the Bengals. The Packers laying 5.5 to the Bears. The Bucks laying 6.5 to the Falcons. Washington laying 1.5 to the Eagles. Bills laying 1.5 to the Dolphins. The Cowboys, I think it was, right?
Yep.
Laying 2.5 to the Giants, and maybe the Raiders laying 2.5 to the Browns. So,
okay, we're way too many favorites.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I like the Steelers. You know that.
Okay.
Getting 9.5.
Yeah.
You're okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, very good. All right. What else do you like? You like the Packers, right? You're big on the Packers?
Yeah, I like the Packers and the Vikings both, to be honest.
Okay, let's get those. Okay. So there we go. So the other ones are, I like the Ravens, but that's a big number, of course.
Yeah.
Washington basically just needs to win the game.
Yeah, I like Washington there. Okay. I wish it was a dog though, man.
I get it. Well, we don't have any other dogs, man. Like that's it. It's the Steelers.
I guess, there is some logic to laying favorites in Week 17 just because of the fact that there are teams who need to win. And at this point, the books have all the algorithm data that they need to come up with and tell you who is going to be, where the money is going to go and where people are going to get into. Yeah. But I've done more study into why lines are made where they are this year than I ever have before. Yep. And it is a fascinating year because in Las Vegas, in the month of November, it was the most profitable month in the history of Vegas. And 9 out of every 10 bets made were won in the NFL by the books.
Wow.
Okay? 90% wagers in the NFL were won by the books.
Holy cow, that's insane.
The public got annihilated this year in the NFL. Just week after week after week, they got killed. The only thing that really hurt the books was 2-team teasers. And a lot of people did very well, including myself, on 2-team teasers. But other than that, literally everything else. So the lines this year have been super sharp, and they've dangled in front of the public without fans in the stands. I think that's, when we look back on the NFL year, I think that's going to be the most difficult thing for all of us to realize is that fans in the stands really did play a pretty big factor in how these games went. And just straight up playing football without any real influence of an environment, the books took advantage of us, of everyone, pros and Joes.
All right, so I got one for you then, Matt.
Okay.
Are you ready? Now, technically, the consensus line is at 3, but it hasn't. As the DraftKings has just moved, why don't we just take the Rams getting 3.5 against the Cardinals?
Yes, love it.
Okay.
It's 2.5 for me in my contest, but let's take it.
Yeah. All right. So that'll be our official 5 plays, even though, again, we don't have a contest.
Yeah.
But it's the Vikings laying 6.5 to the Lions, the Steelers getting 9. It's 9 or 9.5, but we'll do it at 9 to the Browns. The Packers laying 5.5 to the Bears, Washington laying 1.5 to the Eagles, and the Rams getting 3.5 from the Cardinals.
2 dogs, 3 favorites, right?
Yeah.
I like it.
2 dogs, 3 favorites.
Yes.
And one of the favorites is Washington, which is 1.5.
Yes.
So
like it.
You're good with that?
I'm good with it.
All right, and let me tell you the 2 team teasers that I bet while we were doing this, as we were talking through. It is, and again, this is on DraftKings because I'm in New Hampshire. That's the only place I can bet. The Steelers, I'm teasing them up from, which is currently +9 to +15.
Like it.
And the Titans, I'm teasing down from laying 7.5 to laying 1.5.
Like it.
That's my 2 team teaser. It's at -112. By the way, didn't 2 team teasers, Matt, used to be at -140 last year?
Well,
like
books
whenever
are shopping. Books are trying to attract different business.
Interesting.
So the Westgate in Vegas is -140. Circa in Vegas is the low at -125. That's why I bet all my 2 team teasers at Circa Sports. What is DraftKings offering it at?
This one is at -112. I had another one that I did. Yeah, it's mostly been at -120 for me.
Yes.
So -112, I don't know. But
so Johnny Avello in week 17 is trying to entice people to bet teasers.
Yeah.
Which is scary to me, to be honest.
It is scary. When I saw it was -112, I sort of had the moment. But I feel very, very confident that the Titans are going to beat the Texans. I don't feel confident about 7.5 whatsoever.
Right.
So if it's 1.5, close to a pick 'em, I feel confident that they're going to win that game by, whatever, more than, a point. So I have that. And I'm very big on the Steelers not getting, over, 15 points. I'm confident the Steelers are going to be able to keep this game close. I'll take the extra 6. So I feel pretty good about it. So that's my 2 team teaser. Matt, you'll give your 2 team teaser, I assume, on the Daily Juice, like you always do.
As always, we will have. I may have 2 this week, just because we have no Thursday night football, we have no Monday night football, no Saturday football. We have 16 games on Sunday. It is one of the best eating and lounging days of the year. Yeah. So I may have a couple. I may have a bit more action than normal. So maybe 2 team teasers. We'll end the year with a couple of 2 team teasers.
Excellent. And again, don't forget, Sunday morning, we're still doing the live stream. And then for the first round of the playoffs, Matt, we're good on that. We're going to do a half-hour live stream on Saturday before the games, and then a half-hour live stream on Sunday. That's at youtube.com/bettingpros. So you can get all your little great, last-minute advice that you can get from Matt. Don't forget to join, again, Discord, which is nuts. Matt, what is it? 2,500?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, it's just during games, there's about 300 people a night who are in there chatting. Yeah. And, I mean, some really funny stuff comes up. Stuff that I don't even, it's become its own little community. I mean, they're betting on Chinese basketball. So, I mean, go figure.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, so also we're trying to cook up something special for you guys for the Super Bowl. We're working on that. We'll be back with more on that. But in the meantime, enjoy the last NFL betting weekend of the regular season. There's going to be a ton of great playoff stuff. And Matt and I will talk to you here next week.